Me and the married woman I'm cheating with before we leave the Premier Inn in the morning.
Oh, Tom, excuse me, can I go in the bathroom too?
Yeah, all right,
Thank
Tiny.
you, excuse me.
Tiny,
Yeah.
I've already washed my face, I have.
Me waking up at 6 a.m. and realising some of the things I posted online last night may break the Geneva Convention. And this is how I expect the glass of water and paracetamol I take after 2 bottles of wine to fight my hangover overnight. Hello guys, welcome back to the show today. I'm going to talk about my top 5 mistakes you must avoid. That's fragrance mistakes, by the way. Before that, don't forget, my recommended USA-based fragrance sampling site is decantboutique.com. Go there and use my code MrSmelly10 for 10% off a massive range of designer and niche fragrances. My recommended UK-based fragrance sampling site is fragrancesamplesuk.com, and there your code is SMELLY2025 for 10% off across the site. That code has recently changed. The old one doesn't work now. SMELLY2025 is the new code. Both highly recommended by me and linked in the description of this video. Okay, so 5 mistakes you don't want to be making when you're doing the fragrance thing. We're into fragrances, it's a great hobby, but people get very wrapped up in it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes they get dragged into rabbit holes that aren't entirely healthy, and I'm going to try to help you avoid those. So here we go. Let me know what you think about these in the comments down below. Okay, number 1. It's kind of obvious, but I think some of you may need to be reminded of this. Don't spend money that you don't have or can't really afford to spend on fragrances. Nobody needs a new fragrance, especially anybody who's got more than 1 or 2 that they quite like already. This is not an emergency. I see people often on Facebook groups selling off old fragrances and saying, I've had a bit of an emergency, my dog's ill and needs to go to the vet. If you haven't got enough money set aside for that kind of thing, you shouldn't have been buying those fragrances in the first place. Or your car's, you've got a car problem, you need to fix it, you have to sell some of your fragrance collection. That money would have been better left in the bank, so you don't have to suddenly sell the fragrances. You should not be buying things that you cannot afford. You should not be, if it's a case of waiting for payday every month before you can splash out on a load of fragrances. I mean, yeah, fine. If you buy one nice thing when you get paid each month, nothing wrong with that. But really, budget and don't make fragrances your priority in life. I see far too many people spending money that they don't have. It is unhealthy, and you'll be much happier if you could just convince yourself. Think of if you knew a friend who was massively obsessed with collecting sneakers or trainers, as we call them in the UK, and if you're like me, you don't care about sneakers or wear them apart from when you go running, and they had to spend $600 on the new Nike ones when they came out, and you're looking at all the other ones they've got in a box. You look at them and think, wow, that's really not a good use of your money. Other people would think that about your fragrance hobby, so don't spend what you ain't got, all right? Okay, second thing, don't over-focus on new releases. If we're in the online world, we're always looking at Reddit groups, Facebook groups, YouTube videos, and of course Instagram and TikTok videos. And there's all these influencers now, and they're all getting sent the new release from maybe a niche brand or whoever it may be from. And they're talking about it excitedly. Have you heard the hype around this one? Everyone's talking about it. Yeah, they're probably not, but you might see a lot of videos in your feed because you're a fragrance person. And why do you need to focus on what's new? There are undoubtedly many hundreds or thousands of fragrances that have been out for months or years or decades even that you haven't tried, and they might be the newest things tend to be at the highest price. If a designer brand brings out a fragrance, it might be a little bit cheaper in a year or two. Same with niche brands. So you don't always need to be following the hype around new releases. What is new is not normally the best thing. Sometimes there are things out there that have been out for many years. That doesn't have to be my classic fragrances, old ones that I like. It might be something that's been out 4 or 5 years, but look at stuff that's already out there. Go a little bit deeper than the most obvious big influencers online. Search deeper, go on Fragrantica, do a little bit of Googling, be a bit more creative and find some fragrances you haven't thought of. That if it's new to you, it might as well be new. If you've never heard of it till yesterday, it's a new fragrance, right? Think about it that way. Don't worry. Forget what's new, Class is permanent. Fashion is temporary, right? I'll never go out of style because I've never been in style, and I like that. At nortonandwilson.com, you can now get 20% off when you order any 2 or more individual 100ml bottles. Just add your items to the cart and the discount will be applied automatically. Okay, thirdly, this is another big mistake. Don't worry about other people's opinions. You see these posts in Facebook groups or Reddit groups. Rate my collection. It's maybe for the younger people, which not many, my viewers are mostly a bit more old, but these insecure people saying rate my collection, just got into the hobby a month ago, and they're sort of asking people to say what they need. And also people are waiting for reviews of a fragrance or, is this fragrance a good choice for a date and that kind of thing they're posting online. You don't need other people's opinions on that. If you smell something and it smells great, it's great. Nobody else. I see people who love fragrances that I think suck. Doesn't mean that they're wrong. And they think things that I like and think are really, really good. They're like, what are you talking about? I don't believe you really feel this way about this fragrance. It's absolute garbage. But I really genuinely like it. It's your choice. Don't worry about what anyone else tells you. I mean, yeah, sure. You might, obviously, if you go online, you're looking at other people's opinions about whatever you're talking about. So, but in the ultimate final analysis, it's what you smell and can try and like. Sometimes you might blind buy things because you really like that brand, or you've seen some good thoughts about it, and that's okay. But just don't overly rely on other people's opinions. It's what you think that counts, and in life that's a good thing. If you're dependent on the validation of other people, you'll almost never be happy, particularly if you're hanging out online, because people are always saying nasty, mean things about people and not validating others. So it has to come from within. Your love of fragrance, your choice, your personal taste, and perhaps your self-respect too. Remember that. Okay, number 4 point, don't have a big collection of hundreds of fragrances, but never buy new clothes, or don't spend time looking after having nice food that you enjoy eating and is hopefully nutritious and healthy, or maybe going on holidays and doing things that make you have an overall balance of a good life, yeah, or going to the gym to stay healthy, yeah. If you focus, because that costs money too these days, right? Don't have thousands of fragrances but never buy a new shirt, because you see people, even people with small YouTube channels, and they've got all these shelves of fragrances behind them, and they kind of look scruffy, or they don't really look like they put any thought. Maybe they do, and that's just how they like to dress, but it looks like they've given very little thought to their physical appearance, which is rather important too. Fine, you might not be into the hobby of buying clothes or buying watches or buying shoes, but it's important to have those nice things and present yourself well too, as well as nice fragrances. So don't overlook that. If you've got 500 fragrances and only one pair of jeans that you keep wearing that could almost walk out of the house by themselves, it might be time to invest in a couple of new pairs of trousers. You get what I'm saying? I mean, it's stating the obvious, but I think some of you watching this will think, I'm actually guilty of that one. Okay, finally, you might surprise me. No, I might surprise you, because I've often said, spray a lot of fragrance if you want to be smelled, and it's true. But be careful, because you don't always want to smell really strong. So beware of overspraying, and in a more general way, beware of the fact that you are probably, to some degree, nasally fatigued with any fragrance you are wearing. So you think, I couldn't smell this after half an hour. It's really poor. It's really got weak longevity. The fact is, your nose zeroes out that fragrance because it's still trying to smell the saber-toothed tiger or poisonous gas that are endangering you, and it needs to just tune out of the background smells so it's more attuned to anything it might need to worry about. So your fragrance that's sitting on you all day won't be very smellable for you by the end of the day, but other people may still be smelling it. So whenever you think, I need to spray more to be smelled, you'd be surprised. I've often, Lorraine, my girlfriend, I'm very grateful to for putting up with me, has often said, oh, that smells nice. And I've thought that my fragrance had kind of disappeared. So fragrances are there more than you think. Don't overspray too much, particularly in a work situation or where it's not appropriate to smell strong. And remember, more people can smell them than you think. So those are my top 5 fragrance mistakes you must avoid. Let me know what you thought about that in the comments down below. I will see you in the next video. Remember, whatever we're doing in life, let's project. And although sometimes life can stink, at least we can always smell good, right? Bye-bye.